classify myself as obsolete.
Obsolete.
I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete.
Obsolete.
I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete.
Obsolete.
I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete.
Obsolete.
What is up, everybody? King of the Mountain podcast back in the place to be. This time we are full steam for the first time in a couple weeks. We've got Will and Kyle in the place to be. What is up, fellas?
Man, what's up?
Feels good to be back.
Feels good to have you guys back. It's a little more difficult when I'm the couple I did by myself is a little. It's hard to just talk the entire time. I like getting your guys' feedback, and people deserve to hear feedback and opinions from other people. Just getting that one person speaking is not near as entertaining.
Well, that just goes to show that you are a humble individual, so that's good.
Well, I appreciate that compliment. We are brought to you by TNA Mecca, so check out TNAMecca.com, #1 fan site for TNA fans. Also, TNA Fan Zone on Facebook. Check them out too. Their URL is facebook.com/besttna fan page. 51,000 likes on there, so lots of good TNA fans to talk with. And then, of course, Kyle's got the Daily Impact on Instagram.
The IG, come hang out with the other TNA fans up on the gram.
Oh yeah, so we got Instagram locked down, we got Facebook locked down, Twitter locked down. We got this. Check out the show notes for our links to Amazon.com. Not going to cost you a single thing. Just shop as you normally would. Click on our link. We'll get a 4% back to us. I'm not going to lie with the amount, just a small amount, 4%. Help us with the cost. So after today's Impact review is the debut of our Robbie E minus C3 experience. And if you guys didn't catch the last show, after every Impact review that we do, Robbie will be hopping on the line, and we will be interviewing someone from Robbie's life, most of the time having to do with Impact Wrestling. So it could be an active wrestler on the roster, it could be a referee, it could be a backstage interviewer, it could be an independent wrestler that works on the scene with Robbie. So definitely change from week to week. And after this show, we've got an interview with DJ Z. Now, I want to point out real quick, a few people last show when we had the interview with Robbie E had said, hey, we want the interview and the Impact review on two separate files. And, it's kind of a long file. So I'm just going to say to those people, just bear with us a little bit. There's some guinea pig stuff we're going through right now. And to be totally honest with you, to do it in one file is a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? If it's
Long?
No, it's time consuming to do separate files and stuff like that, because exporting a file down, the interview down to an MP3 takes a very long time. The upload takes a long time. So when I'm doing multiple files, it can make things very, very difficult. So just bear with us, but it is less time consuming for us to do it that way. And also, I'm going to be keeping 100 with you from a marketing standpoint. If we have the interview along with our Impact review, it does get more eyes on our product. So just
Absolutely.
Bear with us on that.
But
So
I think it's safe to say that somewhere down the line in the future, maybe you'll see an archive, and these interviews will be separate. But for now, tune into the whole episode. You guys love us, don't you?
hell yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. We'll do an archive eventually.
Yeah. But I think it's safe to say that this week, you could call the show the Robbie minus EC3 Will and Kyle experience.
That's right.
This is a BQ solo one. Both me and Will had stuff going on. We weren't able to make the interview, so I want to apologize to the listeners that we weren't able to go on. But you guys know BQ. BQ, he could handle it. He's the captain of the ship around here.
I was surprised he missed us.
Yeah, right?
I did miss you guys. It's so much easier to work with you guys than alone like
it's
that.
hard. It's one thing to have a man admit that, another thing to have an ex-military man admit that.
Very true. I'm going to make a personal announcement real quick, because I had mentioned before that I was 15-year veteran on active duty. I am going back into the Air Force Reserves to finish off my career.
Oh, nice to come back.
Heck yeah.
Oh, no, it's the pension.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
I just heard a rumor that from someone that I mentor that's in the Navy Reserves that you only need now 15 years before you can retire.
that's correct. So here, I'm going to go through my story real quick. I did 14.6 years. I was 4 months short of the 15-year mark. And I'm not trying to get into politics here. I'm just going to be totally real with you, and it's not a political shot at all. But Democrats are not as pro-military as Republicans are. So usually when there's a Democratic president in office, at some point there's a major military cut. So that is what happened with me. I literally came to work one day, received an email that my career was threatened to be over, and I think 10 months later I was out. So I came up 4 months short of the 15-year retirement mark.
So you were rendered obsolete and deleted.
I was rendered obsolete and deleted, yes.
Wow.
So that was 2 years ago. It's been a difficult ride to get back in, but the cool thing is the school I'm going to for my new job is 4 months, so I will hit the 15 before I even start working. So if I ever needed to fall back on that in the future, I could punch out. So
You could do 4 months and just quit.
Yeah.
Give me my lifetime check. Give me my retirement check.
So to steer it back in the direction of wrestling, let me ask you, BQ, when you're out, on duty serving in the military, do you get the time to watch wrestling?
yeah, I mean, again, this is going to be reserve duty, but when I was active duty, I watched Monday Night Raw was the only show I could watch for a very long time because that was my night off. I always worked nights. So, and again, like I said, I didn't have Destination America. So last year, or not last year, but my last year in the military was like straight Monday Night Raw. But that's when it was actually good because it was like when the Shield was around and stuff.
Yeah, I got the link for all the Impact episodes. After the show, I'm going to send it to you, and I'll give you a few key episodes from 2014 to 2015 for you to check out because as a TNA fan, I mean, you missed out on some good stuff. You definitely did.
I did, man. It was I at the time, though, I wasn't aware of like streaming sites and stuff like that. I just didn't surf the internet in that way looking for streaming videos and stuff. I didn't even know that existed, like that they did that at the time. So moving on here, did you guys catch Moose on the Ross Report?
I've been meaning to. I didn't get to listen to it yet. How about you, Will?
No, I hadn't listened to it yet.
So he was on there Tuesday. I was really excited for this because I don't know if you caught on the YouTube channel for Impact, Josh interviewed Moose, and Josh did a really good job with the Mike Bennett and Maria one earlier this year. He did a pretty good job with the Chelsea one. The Moose one and the Raquel one are not good. And the reason I say that is because they put these like this background music behind it. And when he interviewed Mike and Maria, he kind of broke kayfabe for the interview. So you kind of got some insight on why they came to TNA and things like that. But the other interviews are not like that. So he's interviewing Moose, and it's just the background music is really annoying. And then he has a hard time. He's asking questions like, Mike Bennett's a fan of the Patriots and used to play there. Is that why you guys are friends? Like, kind of like, who would ask a question like that? Like, that's not how they met. I can tell you that's not how they met. I don't know them. You know what I mean? Like, so he's like, he said, "Oh, is that your connection?" That's what it was, and it was like. Moose is like, well, we used to work in another company together. You know what I mean? It was just Josh came off very unknowledgeable. And, I love Josh. I always rave about his show every Saturday. So I'm not talking trash on him, but it's just the interview wasn't good. And so it was good to get this. The problem with Jim Ross is that he turns every interview, no matter who he's talking to, about WWE.
That's his gig,
Oh, my
His
God.
gimmick.
Dude. He's done it to Mike Bennett, and it was prior. It was the Mike Bennett interview was between TNA and ROH. He did it to James Storm, and that was his James Storm interview was when he left TNA. So I mean, it does make sense, but it's like the way he does it, it's unnecessary for the most part. So he did it to Moose, of course, when Moose was saying, "Oh, I moved to Orlando because that's where Impact is taped, and I'm finally leaving Atlanta after 10 years, and I'm moving to Orlando." Jim Ross goes, "You know what else is in Orlando?"
He said it to him just like that.
Yeah.
He said, "You know what else is in Orlando?"
Yeah.
Wow.
The WWE Performance Center, if that's ever an option for you.
Thought he was gonna say Disney World.
Yeah. So he was straight up, and Moose. I mean, he kind of brought the WWE up, and Moose kind of dodged it. he made it very clear he's really, really happy with Impact, so he wasn't going to get into that crap.
It's like, come on, he's coming on the show to promote the show he's working for. You douchebag, JR. Pushing your WWE agenda. Jim Ross is proud member of the Illuminati.
He interviewed Jay Lethal last week. Jay Lethal has never stepped foot in a WWE ring. Why does the company keep coming up in the interview? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess it's the biggest game in town. I mean, so I understand.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not going to say anything about Jim Ross, even though I know he does that. But I can understand why you would ask wrestlers about WWE, why it comes up. It's looked at as kind of the major leagues, I guess, because I'm a big sports fan, period. But you got your minor leagues like A-ball. I wouldn't even get into single A and really double A ball, because you don't really hear about too many of those guys till they get to like double A. But indies are looked at it as pretty much like double A, and a lot of times in the eyes of, unfortunately, many fans, they want to look at TNA as being AAA, which of course we don't think that it's number 2 promotion in this country, and it's a worldwide brand, but other places and other people who have interview platforms, they treat it as such. So whenever someone comes on that has talent and a little bit of a name, WWE comes up as the big leagues, and I'm really tired of hearing that, because I actually watch a lot of the different promotions, and I'm going to tell you that for the year, and I'm not saying this because I'm on this podcast or because we have Robbie E every week now, I've enjoyed, and I've said it, so you can listen back to episode 1. I've talked about the things I like, I talk about the things I don't like, and TNA has been a far superior product in 2016 than WWE. And if people are in TNA, if they are there and they want to leave to go to WWE, roll your dice. I respect the decision, but roll the dice. Take your chance. Look at what has become of those who have left. You have one main person that's on the main roster, and everyone else is stuck in Orlando. So Orlando is almost like playing for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, I like the Kings.
I do too. But it's pretty much people in NXT that are made from scratch by WWE. They're still down there. Your Baileys are still down there. People who have no business being in NXT. Samoa Joe still hasn't cracked the main roster. He should. He hasn't. Bobby Roode, I don't know when he's ever coming up. I guess they want to make you do an internship of 2 years down there before they promote you. If you are in Ring of Honor or TNA, why would you want to? Yeah, I mean, the money in TNA is good. The money in the Indies are good. Why would you want to go do that to your career and stall your momentum? Especially when you see that until Vince, I hear a lot of people tell me, well, until Vince dies, the product will always be stale. Why go have your career stagnate? Why do that to yourself?
I hear you. Aiden O'Shea was interviewed with Vince Russo this past week on the Russo brand, if you're a subscriber. And he was saying it was never my goal to go to WWE. He's like, maybe if it was an option one day down the road, I would look into it. But he said, I actually joined to wrestle all over the world and wrestle for different promotions. Like he said, that's what he joined. And he was saying you can build a career outside of WWE. I don't know why everyone thinks that's all the young people come in and think that's the end game. That's the goal. And it's funny you bring that up. I read something a couple days ago, and I don't know if you guys read it because it didn't spread around a whole lot. But do you remember when they were doing this brand split, how there was all these rumors about, all these old guys are going to come back? And did you remember that?
Yeah,
of course.
And all they just brought back Hawkins and Mahal, brought back a couple of jobbers desperate for work, if we're being honest. Okay.
Well, no, I wouldn't put Shelton in that category. I think it would have been a big return, but didn't work out, obviously.
Right.
He's gone already?
He has rotator cuff surgery?
Yeah, he had a nagging injury that popped up that he couldn't get cleared.
So they're not even sure that he will ever be back on that roster. You know, it might have been
Well, that was probably his chance. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a window that closed because of the injury. So, but here's the deal. The reason a lot of these guys were not signing was because WWE was giving them lowball offers, lowball contracts. And the way the article read, that these words actually came out of Ryback's mouth, but that's the way the article read. I don't know. That the guys were not going back because the contract being offered by WWE, they could make more money in TNA or on the Indies. So Ryback, like I said, Ryback, the way it read, Ryback was the one that said that the money is better on the Indies or TNA than what they were being offered.
Wow, well, that's telling.
It's hard to believe since it's the billion-dollar company, but it just goes to show how some of the talent is treated over there. From what I read, the guys in NXT, like NXT isn't a developmental anymore, but the guys are still paid like it's developmental, and if that's true, then that's just not right.
Right. So I mean, I guess if you're a guy that feels like you've made your money, that's one thing. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Isn't it sick that in the WWE guys are still treated like independent contractors and don't get like health benefits or any of that stuff? Like that's insane. The size of that company, those guys should be taken care of in every way for life,
profits in the millions each year.
Yeah, that's not a knock to TNA, the Indies or anything. I understand how those companies work, but WWE, if that's the biggest game in town, people should be taken care of. There's no excuse. That's just Vince being a greedy businessman, greedy billionaire.
Right, because they don't revenue share with the wrestlers like maybe the NBA does or something. So there is extra money there, but we're gonna get into Impact here shortly, but we're gonna stay on this WWE thing for just 1 second. But they had 3 suspensions today. Eva Marie, which she's obsolete, delete. But Paige and Del Rio were suspended yesterday on Paige's birthday, and it's already been pretty clear that Del Rio's does not want to be in the company anymore. They have a pretty immature relationship from what it looks like. I think if Del Rio's gone, Paige will eventually be gone. So what's the chances we see?
Why do you call it an immature relationship?
That's kind of what the rumor is backstage. And if you look at things that she might post on Instagram or Twitter, she's always calling him Poppy and stuff like that. And just the stuff she writes is like immature love. I don't really know how to explain it very well. It's one of those like relationships that annoys the people around them. So, I mean, it's the best way I can really word it. And I don't think it's his fault. I think it's her fault. But what are the chances we see these two pop up in Impact, do you think? Because Del Rio was in negotiations with him at one point. He had said they didn't have enough money for me. Then when they did have the money, I was already offered a contract by WWE. I told him no thank you, but maybe in the future.
For Del Rio, I think, if you get him, you get Paige.
Exactly.
And I think that would happen. And if it does, you got to backtrack a little bit because how long has he been back with WWE now? A little over a year.
Under a year. So October. I think October is the.
Okay, now so let's go back. He was briefly in Ring of Honor. We saw him do some stuff with Lucha Underground. And then we know his thing with AAA. Everywhere he went, he was hot. The fans wanted to cheer for him, and he was huge. They bring him in. He gets the U.S. title from Cena. After Cena made that title mean something again, it hasn't meant anything since. But he made the title mean something, and then they cooled him off. WWE has become a place now where they get guys under, not over.
Right, absolutely.
And so a year ago, this guy was scorching hot. If you're him, why would you want to stay there? You might consider doing something backstage. I don't know, slap a producer, curse out someone just to get out of contract, so you don't have to take it there. just so you can take your career elsewhere. So if he leaves, TNA gets him. What does that do? I mean, it just makes a better 2016 for the company. So I think it's a good chance that he does leave. Hopefully, they release him early so that he can be free.
I don't. If we saw him on Impact, I wouldn't say he moves the needle as far as maybe you get more of the Latino audience, but I don't think he moves the needle a whole lot. But I think he is, like I've said a lot of times, another domino perhaps, because the more legit talent that comes over, the more legit talent will follow. This isn't like years ago when they brought in the Nasty Boys and things like that, guys who were just, it was like obvious, okay, let's just get these guys because of their name. I don't think they're looking at it like that anymore. But they still do want those names. But again, if they're a legit talent, not a washed up talent, that's a gateway for more talent to come aboard. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, if WWE is the biggest company in the world, when your guys leave, their fans will follow, and they definitely follow that.
Exactly.
My,
There's. I'm sorry.
you know what? And if you get him, and then Paige comes by, what does she do for the knockouts? Because I know Gail Kim gets inducted to the Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory. Happy about that. I don't know. When I hear about people getting inducted to Hall of Fames, usually they end up retiring.
And tonight, on tonight's Impact episode, I don't know if you guys caught that. Basically, Gail Kim, since she lost, even though I think it was a DQ, I don't know. Maria just said that Gail Kim can't go for the Knockouts title anymore. Maybe Gail is shaping up to hang her up her boots.
Yeah, we'll get into that further when that match comes across. But I got some issues with that whole angle. So I'm sure you guys are gonna agree
We'll
with
get
me
there.
on it. Yeah. So I don't know if they were able to land Paige. She could possibly fill that new face of the knockouts thing, kind of like Gail Kim was. I could see that very easily happening, but I know she has an injury right now, so we'll keep it tuned in. Now this isn't in connection with Impact tonight, but it is the biggest TNA news as of just a few days ago. So Billy Corgan was promoted to president of the company. Dixie has stepped down as president to chairman. And I guess she's going to handle the strategic partnerships, things of that nature. I think that fits her strengths because, you might say what you want about her wrestling mind, but from a business standpoint, they're in 120 countries. They continue to globally grow, whether it's getting on an app in China or one in Canada. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is Dixie's strong point, and I think putting her in that role permanently is actually a good thing, and I think it's a good PR move too for Billy to be the face. And from what I've read, that key word we get, morale, was very high when the wrestlers found out about this. So what do you guys think of the changes?
Um, Maybe it means less Dixie on screen. I don't mind her being on screen if she doesn't insert herself into storylines. You can do the old commissioner's gimmick if you want. That doesn't bother me. Dorothy Figaro, whatever. Just don't get in the middle of storylines. You can do the commissioner thing without being in storylines, in my opinion. So if she is really doing that and Corgan's handling the creative, considering that, well, I'm in Chicago, born and raised here, and followed Smashing Pumpkins. Billy Corgan's a pretty creative person. And if he has some input on creative, which my understanding he already does, it could mean for some very interesting things. That's how I feel about it.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think anything. It's like at this point, why not take a risk? It is a risk. We don't know too much about Billy, and he's only been in the company for like a year and a half now. But now if he's getting the full more power, we'll see what direction they go in. I mean, I feel like at this point they're not at their most popular period as a company. Obviously, the quality's there. They're just trying to get more eyes. So maybe Corgan can make some more decisions to move the company in a different direction. And it could be also like a publicity stunt in the sense that since the show's so good, they're putting out something to all the stupid fans that won't watch because they think Dixie Carter is this terrible person, even though she's probably the reason the company's still in business, period.
Right.
It's to make the fanboys go, oh, there's no more Dixie Carter. Let's go check that out. And if they do check it out, they're going to see a kick-ass show.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it's partial PR move too. One thing I really noticed with this episode, which is I guess the first one with him running it, was I felt like the show really had a sense of purpose all the way throughout. Like it was actually over before I knew it. I was like, oh my God, it's 2 hours already, because the talking was really minimal, but it was effective talking. It wasn't like we're going to hear this dude. I use the Rollins reference all the time, like the 15 minutes talking, and then he gets to the point at the very end. You know what I mean? And, the couple times I've been at Impact, I think the talking has been taking the crowd out of the game a little. There was one night I went, dude, where I think it must have been a good 45 minutes, and there was one match within it, and there was a lot of talking. And they chop up the segments and everything when they actually put it on TV. So when you're watching live, it actually happens different than you see it on TV. It's kind of hard to explain, but
yeah, like in different order.
Yeah. So I think it's been taking the crowd out a little, and obviously we had larger crowds. The tonight's episode was probably the same crowd from the last show, but I did talk to someone on Twitter that was at all the tapings, and I said, I just have to know, is the energy strong throughout the whole set of tapings? And he said, yes, I think you'll be surprised. So that's good to hear. But I thought the talking was really effective. So let's get in the very beginning. This was a killer opening, and then we're going to talk James Storm a little bit. So James Storm is asking for a rematch, and he just comes out with a very heel persona right away. Says, I want a rematch, brings the referee in, basically saying that the referee started the count late, rang the bell late, that he should have won the match in the very beginning. So Billy Corgan comes down after that and says, wow, you're a TNA original, and now you are begging for a title match. You lost. And I thought this was Billy's best acting that he's ever done. I said, maybe it's not your damn luck. Maybe you just can't win the big one. Lots of passion, lots of cursing by James Storm. He went and got the tools from underneath the ring, got the hammer, or it was a hammer they said it was a pliers or something, but hitting the turnbuckle pad. Like, I thought he was going to start trying to take the ring apart, which would have been a little cooler. The security comes down, hits the security guard with the beer bottle, and then, hey, cowboy, hey, woo, you're suspended indefinitely. So, great segment, great opening segment, but let's discuss the elephant in the room, which was the video surface of James Storm from the one night only taping. It was a cell phone one that came out, and he said, I'm done with the company. I wanted my last match to be against Bram. I'll see you guys down the road, perhaps with a friend. Which they, of course, everyone's like, oh, he's going to NXT to team with Bobby Roode. That's how they hear that. I want to get your guys' opinion. I'm going to give you mine. It might be naive. I might be reading into it a different way, but I do want to get your guys' opinions. Now, keep in mind, he was suspended, but then he went on vacation for the rest of the shows, with the exception of that one night only match. So when James Storm also said on Twitter, I can't post due to some legal BS or something like that, Impact liked this. I mean, they retweeted it. I'm sorry. They retweeted that. And then the referee, Hebner, replied to it and said, hey, I called the match how I saw it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it comes off very storyline. And people who were there that I talked to, I'm talking for a long time here, I'm sorry. But a couple of people I asked that were in the house said that, no, it was real. Now, keep in mind, they're not going to be able to see some of the segments that could potentially air on an episode of Impact in between commercials and things like that. So I take that with a grain of salt. But Will, first, what are your thoughts on the James Storm thing?
Been following it. It's been reported by all the major wrestling outlets. My take on it is return to kayfabe. And I think it's a return to kayfabe because if you look at what TNA has done this year with different things and different people, you don't know if it's just an old-fashioned wrestling angle, and you don't know if it's real. And I know you had other companies in the past that wanted to blur the lines. I mean, that's what the Attitude Era was about, blurring the lines of reality and what they want you to believe you didn't know. And I think TNA is doing that because right now, with all the talk that's going on about James, this is James Storm. Love James Storm, but at this point, him leaving or him staying is pretty much immaterial. The reason why it's immaterial, you're talking about TNA. In his tweet, he put at Impact Wrestling in one of those tweets of his, and so you see the episode tonight, and you're thinking, it's probably an angle. But then when you think back for a moment, like, well, maybe not. Because everything was delivered so everything. I've never seen Corgan do anything in a ring that well. I mean,
Right.
it was just it's so good. I actually don't know. I don't know, but it really doesn't matter if he leaves or stays because you're talking about tonight. That's something that's going to happen on future episodes. He's suspended. You always can come back with the suspended indefinitely. It's lifted. Here you are, whatever. You don't know what's going to happen. It is very interesting.
I'm going to interject something real quick. You mentioned how they tagged at Impact Wrestling on the tweet. Now, if there is a real legal thing going on here and the two sides cannot communicate, tagging them in your tweet is communicating with them. If we're talking legal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just throwing that in there real quick.
Right, and that's why. But I don't know. It's fun. You know what? It's fun to have something happen in wrestling where we can even speculate on if it's real or not.
Absolutely.
That's fun.
What are your thoughts, Kyle?
Well, I'd like to say I hope that they are maybe working the sheets. That would be pretty cool. We don't really get to see that happen in this world of wrestling. I don't know, modern times, there's really no scenarios when you're watching it and you actually stop and think, hey, maybe this is real. So maybe they released this information, like maybe they created a publicity stunt, possible. At the same time, none of us were there. We don't know what happened backstage. There could be a coincidence that this is playing out and there really was a dispute. We don't know. And that's why we're going to tune in to find out. You know what I'm saying?
No one's been able to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Nobody's been able to confirm.
Yeah, nobody's. That's it's cool because it's mysterious. If he leaves, I don't think it would hurt the company. He's had a great long career there. I don't think it would hurt the company, but he is, a fan favorite. I mean, there's so many Boozer Cruiser T-shirts out in the crowd. People love him. I would like him to stay. I don't see him accomplishing anything anywhere else at this stage in the game. But I would also like to put out there. Remember how he says maybe I'll be back with a friend? Remember how he said that in the One Night Only promo? Which another reason why I was confused. I thought that maybe it could be real was why is he making the speech at One Night Only and not one of the episodes? So that threw me off. Maybe it was supposed to do that.
It wasn't on the actual show.
Yeah, it was on One Night Only. And
No.
Weird.
But I mean, it wasn't on the broadcast. It was like when the broadcast was over, type of thing.
Oh, okay.
It's not something that's going to be on TV.
Oh, wow. Well, what I wanted to say is he says maybe you'll see me with a former friend, and everyone's taking that as NXT. People chanted NXT at him, but on the Independence about a month ago, he tagged up with his old tag partner,
Chris Harris.
Chris Harris. It was America's Most Wanted, AMW.
You know what? That's the first person. Bobby Roode didn't come to my mind. Chris Harris came to my mind.
Same here.
Exactly. And Chris Harris looked like he was in good shape. He looked like he was in ring shape. I think that so they're not going to do beer money. Why don't they bring back something that, a lot of fans, old school TNA fans loved besides beer money? Why not AMW? Maybe he's coming back with his old friend, and maybe AMW are going to have a nice veteran run in TNA. And I think that would be good. I mean, the tag division needs, more new teams, more old teams, to spice it up. Definitely need more competition. I don't really think there's any place on the card for James Storm as a solo act right now. I think they have plenty, going in that department, and I would like to see him in the tag division with his old pal.
So here's my take on it. You guys actually covered pretty much everything for the most part. That was the first thing I thought, because he didn't say, He just said, I'm going to see you down the road, possibly with an old friend. Okay, so I could very well see what people think he said, and maybe we're being naive, and maybe he really is leaving the company. So I hate fantasy booking with passion. I mean, fantasy booking is cool, but not like when you listen to WrestleZone, like that Nick Hausman dude. He's like, oh, I think at WrestleMania, Undertaker and Shane are gonna be in the Hell in a Cell. Then Kurt Angle's gonna come from the sky, and then the Bullet Club is gonna come from Japan. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like thinking like that.
Well, when James Storm re-signed in January, wasn't it out there that he signed for 2 years? Don't you remember hearing that he signed a 2-year deal for a bunch of definite money? Like, I don't think he's leaving.
Right. It's a 2-year deal. Now, here's my thing. We know for a fact that over the years, countless wrestlers and people in the company have been paid late by the company. And you're going to tell me that not one of these wrestlers that I can think of got out of their contract, like due to breach of contract?
We're guessing. We're sitting here on the show guessing, so they're doing something right.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see what could have. Obviously, we don't know the contract, or we're not experts in any way. But if you've got guys who are legitimately not receiving pay on time, which I take that with a grain of salt, because I do believe independent contractors, you have a window to pay them. It's not like they get paid on the 1st and 15th.
And we don't know any of that. We don't know what's true and what's not true. You know, like, nobody knows what goes on except for the people in that company. Things could be greatly exaggerated on the internet, negatively or positively.
Exactly. And to even put out to the listeners, you know, Robbie E will be coming on our show every week. We do not have conversations like that with him, and will not have conversations like that with him.
Our opinions are our opinions. They have nothing to do with Robbie.
Yep. We're not going to ask him anything about backstage, anything, because we respect the company, respect wrestling. So that is not going to happen. So that's my thing. That's my thing regarding contracts. We haven't seen any breach of contracts up to this point. We haven't, there hasn't, besides Bischoff, there hasn't been some, big old legal battles with prior wrestlers. So I think Billy Corgan is a very creative person. I think Will hit it that they might be trying to bring kayfabe back, and this could be something that only Billy and James know, and Dixie, I guess. But we're just gonna have to stay tuned. Again, the people there in the crowd said that was a pretty heartfelt, passionate promo. Sounded real. They're not
Storm is, you got the right guy to do something like that with. And plus, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that they've used James Storm in this manner before, when they talked about family and he had went away and he had come back. So here's a guy that can pull at your heartstrings. Tennessee Cowboy can definitely work you on the microphone, and this is one of those cases to where you never know. And because he did leave for a couple months, that's making me like, well, he did leave once before, so all that plays into it. And if it is part of an angle, brilliant.
Right, and he's a perfect guy to do it with. And he said in a recent interview he had no desire to work an NXT schedule. He said if Bobby Roode wants to work that, more power to him. I've got a family that I'm not willing to walk away from like that at this point, be on the road that much. So, let's get into Impact. We're going to cover it kind of quickly because there were a couple matches that were a little bit random, which they haven't been doing that since February or March. So after the shows, James Storm go in the car. That was really great backstage and everything. We get Moose versus Eddie Edwards. Now, Moose came down with Mike Bennett's theme song. My first thought with this, they did bring notice to it. I feel like they're trying to protect Moose's theme song for a little bit until they know that the Impact crowd is down with the Moose arm, and you know what I'm saying? That's my personal opinion, but it could be leading to something else where Mike Bennett's like, hey, you're my guy, you're going to come down to my music. We don't know. Curious your thoughts on that.
Not a fan of it.
Yeah,
mainly because I don't like Bennett's music, but that's one reason.
I like it, but it was awkward. The entrance was awkward.
You don't like that sweet guitar riff?
That part I like, but maybe it's because Bennett just as a heel is work because I just don't like him
You just
as a
hate
heel.
him.
Yeah,
You love his woman, but you hate him.
I'm not crazy about. I don't like either one. I'm not a fan. I like either one of them. I mean, just the character. You just see the characters and kind of like they want you not to not like them. It's worked on me. That's the point.
You pink wearing, pineapple wearing son of a
But
that doofy little ponytail.
it felt awkward. It did look awkward.
Yeah, I
To
did.
see, it did.
The match,
I love the Moose song. I wasn't a fan of him coming out without that theme.
it was very awkward. It did have Mooch's Mooch's
Mooch's Mooch.
his gimmick. He comes down and does the moose arm, and he's accepting collections from the crowd. No, the match itself in general, though, the action was very quick. There were some very strong spots, high impact spots, and Moose showed that springboard. That was a really nice spot where he went for the springboard, got caught with Eddie Edwards with a drop kick. Eddie had a very nice dive through the ropes to the Miracle and then just shoved him damn near into the crowd.
How about Moose's drop kick? You got a 300-pound guy that got up like, wow, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that thing's nuts. This was a good match. We're gonna have to see where they go because I think Eddie said that, or I'm sorry, Miracle said that he had to beat Moose in order to get Miracle in a match. So, if we're talking WWE booking, Eddie Edwards would have won the match, but he lost. So now we got to see how is he going to get his hands on Mike Bennett. But this was the first match that told me, it just stood out to me from the jump that the night was moving with a sense of purpose. Like they didn't waste any time in this match. Like it was boom, boom, boom. They were going. And the high spots really mattered. And here's something. So Moose wins with the go to hell. I wrote this down in my notes later for the Shira and Eli Drake match. So Moose got rid of the spear because Lashley does it, right?
Yep.
It's safe to say. Now I understand that Game Breaker is his main finisher, but this go to hell seems to be his alternate finisher. Shira has the same finisher.
You're right. Didn't think of that.
It didn't dawn on me until tonight's match. Jade is backstage with Maria and Allie. Jade needs to work on her talking a little bit. It's kind of Brie Bella-ish, where it's the emphasis is in the wrong parts of the sentence. I thought it was weird that Maria was calling her the most dominant knockout or whatever when like her stable includes Sienna, which is probably the most dominant knockout. So I had a problem with all this. I don't say I had a problem. I just wasn't getting it. She said if Jade loses... No, okay, I'm going to shout out Vince... I'm not going to shout out Vince Russo because he doesn't listen to our show, but Vince Russo was covering last week's Impact, and he had said, because he has a very analytical, creative mind, who is to say Jade doesn't throw the match for Gail Kim? What is Jade fighting for? You know what I'm saying? And they actually addressed that on the show, where
So
pretty
what
much
if I'm not playing by your rules?
exactly. And she said if you lose, you don't get a knockouts title match. So let's talk about the match itself. The match itself was really, really good. Now, I just watched a Women of Honor pay-per-view last night, and I will say that's the best women's wrestling I've seen this year. I've always defended a knockouts as top to bottom being the best division, even this year, even over WWE NXT, because I'm talking top to bottom talent. WWE's top heavy with their division. But the match was very back and forth. There were a lot of really great spots. Did you catch Jade kicking Gail Kim right in the face?
Oh, it's way
Yes.
she swung around like a ninja.
Oh, you talking about that now? I think. Well, I'm pretty sure that Jade takes Taekwondo at taking it. That was a reverse roundhouse kick. That was beautiful.
It was very nice.
That one Gail Kim did swinging around the ring post. That was nuts.
Yeah, man, they showed this was a really, really good match. I mean, I was hoping they were going to get some time because last time these two faced, it was okay. This one really, really delivered, and I bring up the Women of Honor thing because the show blew me away how good the action was, and I'm like, damn, the knockouts really need to step it up because there is competition out there. So impressive match. Now, Sienna. I'm sure you guys didn't like the ending either. Sienna gets Gail Kim disqualified. Help me make some sense of this, guys. Maria comes down and says Gail Kim fails. She does not get her knockouts title match or whatever. Gail Kim won the match. Jade lost the match, and
the announcers brought that up.
Right, and they didn't even address that as far as, okay, well, Jade lost the match, so she's not going to get her knockouts title match.
Well, see, here's the thing here's the thing I didn't like that the announcers caught that. Also, they mentioned it. Didn't we just see this a couple months ago between her husband and EC3?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, elaborate.
He had to where EC3 had to go ahead and win a series of matches just to get Bennett in the ring again.
Yeah, but then there was the angle, which this was a little bit lazy. Let's be real, where EC3 was in charge that night, and then he made the match himself.
Right, but it's a similar premise, and so now Gail Kim wins, and the Pope and Josh Matthews called it like, but she won the match. What I couldn't figure out, what I didn't like was, if you were going to do that. If you were going to have Sienna come down and interfere, why not go ahead and attack Jade so that Gail gets disqualified?
So it's a no contest
or something. Yes, but she wins, so now they have to come back next week and like, well, Gail actually won, so yeah, she's still in it so far, because now it doesn't make sense. And BQ, this is something we talked about over the last couple of weeks, where there were some things which we were like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense.
I feel like I'm always saying this about the knockouts division, though, not the other divisions.
Right. It's
ever since Maria came in, there's been some weak spots in the creative, some holes in whatever she's getting booked with.
There have been some holes. I guess what I would have liked to have seen was that when Jade said, "What happens if Gail wins?" I think if Maria would have been like, "You will not get your one-on-one rematch for the knockouts title," that would have made a lot more sense.
True.
So I think everyone that watched this left confused. But again, phenomenal match. Do you see? I think Gail Kim's face really slammed on the ground when Sienna gave her the AK-47 on the outside.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But Jay did like the 619 type move. Had a nice springboard. I forgot who we were talking to. Jade can do a 450 splash, right? And she does it on the indies.
Yep.
We need to see that, dude. That has to be on national television. And then she hit that one move on the outside, kind of like Derek Young's gut, whatever.
Yeah, she's great. Her and Gail Kim are just amazing.
So we get after that, backstage with the X Division guys talking. I don't know if DJZ was trying to show him a hoverboard or what it was they were talking about. I just saw it briefly. So they're kind of chatting, and then Lashley comes out and pretty much talking down to these guys. And Braxton Sutter says, "You don't need to be a prick." There was a lot of language tonight, which prick is not a bad word, but it's also not a good word.
Am I being a prick?
Right, yeah. It wasn't, the show wasn't PG. You know what I mean? So they didn't.
It was edgy.
It was very edgy tonight. That stood out a lot. And then DJZ had said, "One day one of us are going to beat you guys, or beat you." And Lashley, of course, laughs in his face. And we get an X Division 4-way match that DJZ said, "Okay, whoever wins this match should be the number one contender." And that's not where they went with it. It was literally just a 4-way match with no implications at all. I mean, did you guys? Is that how you guys looked at it too? Like, why is this match happening?
Yeah. That sums it up.
Because they haven't been booking like that this year. I think on the UK tour they had a few like really random matches, and then other than that, everything has been storyline driven. That's why they can't get guys like Aiden O'Shea into a match, because they're not just going to put a dude in the ring for the sake of a match. They haven't been doing that this year. So
mixes things up. I like it.
But it was a good match. It was a lot of fun. I didn't take a lot of notes here because there was just so much going on. There was a lot of very innovative moves. And Rockstar Spud playing his role beautifully, pretended he was going to do an outside dive.
Yeah, that was great.
I thought he was really going to do it. I'm like, oh damn.
I love how he hypes everybody up with his hands,
He's great, man. Like as far as working the crowd and
Yeah, see, some guys are good wrestlers, and then other guys are great wrestlers and entertainers, and they study the little things. And like him, Robbie E's one of those guys. Like everything he does in the ring means something to his character, whether he's being a good guy or a bad guy, and that's just the type of talent you want on your roster.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, he's an entertaining guy. So DJZ wins the match with the ZDT. That was beautiful. It was a double, and good match. There was a couple sequences where Braxton Sutter even looked more X Division-y than normal.
And that was good. That was always good to see.
Then we get EC3 and Drew in the ring. Okay, I always like hearing EC3 talk, but again, we talk about Drew talking every single show. He comes down, and it was the point where I was like, is this a bathroom break? They didn't talk for very long before Aaron Rex came down and announced that you guys, if you fight next week, I'm going to be the special guest referee. So again, Aaron Rex really worked the crowd. He gets the best out of the crowd.
The way he delivered his opening line, I'm sorry, BQ, but the way he delivered his opening line, that had me that brought a cheer to me in front of the television. Just comes up, put his arms around him. Hi guys, and it just lit the interview up right. Well, it made that segment at that point.
I liked when EC3 was like, "Hi." When Drew got in the ring, he sounded like Ross Geller from Friends. So this is something I liked about this was that they included Aaron Rex into a high-profile angle without telling us, "Hey, we're gonna push this dude down your throat." You know what I mean? Like they're associating himself. I mean, I'm sorry, they're associating him with important people, which makes him important. It's the reverse of what I say. If Shira hangs out with Grado too much, then he's going to become a comedy character. Which the way he was booked tonight, he's obviously not a comedy character. That's not how they view him. But you guys agree with that? That if you put Aaron Rex in a meaningful, around meaningful people, then he'll be meaningful.
Well, I agree. You have to put him in something. So I won't get into what's going to happen in the future, but you saw him this week for a few minutes. He talked, he got you excited, and he's going to be in a match that people care about.
Unfortunately, I caught a lot of spoilers on Twitter in the last 2 days, which really pissed me off because usually spoiler sites are spoiler sites, and usually people are a lot more respectful than that on Twitter. I won't even retweet results on Twitter until I know the UK show is aired. So I think it's just disrespectful. But if, from what I've seen, if the storyline they're doing with Rex for Bound for Glory is what I think it is, it's a big angle. So it should be interesting. Backstage, we get Eli Drake talking about James Storm had a golden opportunity and blew it. Should have been him. He wants his King of the Mountain title back. And then we get little Eli Drake and Lashley. I was hoping we were going to get this match. What do you think?
I wanted it. It would have been interesting.
I understood if Eli Drake was the King of the Mountain champion, they couldn't have. Hypothetically, yes, but they couldn't have main evented last week's Impact with that. If they were to say, hey, the main event is Eli Drake versus Lashley, Eli Drake hasn't been booked strong enough to be that main eventer. Like James Storm can insert himself into the main event.
What do you guys think of Eli Drake's finishing move? I was thinking to myself tonight, he's a great character. Like, I love everything about the guy, but I'm not a big fan of the blunt force trauma. I don't know.
I think the name helps it.
The name helps it.
When you got a cool name for your finisher, that goes a long way.
In the past, I said I like it because it's a move that it's a combination finisher, which you don't have a lot of those.
No, you don't see it.
It's one of those things to where you can hit it out of nowhere. You maybe if you do things right with that finisher, you can almost treat it like that. You can treat it like the diamond cutter. But tonight was a good example of why you can't. Why he may just want to go to make that an alternate finisher, because he got the knee, but the clothesline was too far away. He had to go ahead and take 2 strides to get there to the guy.
Yeah, and that was Shira's ring awareness. That was that ruin that. So I think it was essential to put Eli Drake in this match because the little promo with Lashley came across a little babyface-ish, and you have to bring us back home. Okay, this is a heel. Don't forget this is a heel. So putting him in the ring, cutting the heel promo segment, which he's phenomenal talking every single time. The crowd was doing the dummy, yeah. It was really random that Shira came out, though.
Very random, but I just wanted to throw in there before we get back to Shira. It worried me for a second. I was thinking, oh no, they're not going to turn Eli Drake face, are they? Like, you already did that to EC3. Don't do it to Eli Drake too. Like, just leave him alone, please.
I think an eventual face turn is going to come for Eli Drake, and it's going to be permanent. Like EC3's, we know is probably permanent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I think both those guys are just so good, like second to none at being bad guys, that I don't really want to see them be good. I mean, I'm used to EC3 at this point, but Eli Drake, I don't want to see him, turn into a babyface personally.
He does get enough heat, though, with the things that he says. And he's not out there doing babyface stuff like Seth Rollins, where you're supposed to boo him, but then he's out there doing a bunch of babyface stuff, and then it's kind of like, well, now people like him.
Yeah,
so I think
we sometimes you're just so likable,
You can like a heel and be entertained by them, but still feel inclined to boo them if you're in the arena.
You know what? Eli Drake doesn't need to be. Part of the problem in wrestling in general has been that every organization thinks that you have to have cool heels. I know that WWE, that's a big thing. You got to have I like Mike. Now follow me on this. I like Mike Bennett because he's excellent in the ring. He's good at. I like him because I hate him. That's if you understand what I'm saying.
You love to hate him,
right? And so that works. That's a guy right there that if he ever had a face turn, which I cannot see, I booed him in Ring of Honor. I'm booing him now. I'll probably boo him 10 years from now. But you need guys like that because that is a gift right there, making people just dislike you to the point to where they're not going to turn the TV and they want to throw things at the TV when they see you come on it.
My prediction is that when Mike Bennett eventually wins a title, he will break Bobby Roode's record for longest reign. Bobby Roode has that record. Am I correct?
I'm jotting that one down. If it happens,
I think you may. I think you may be right, but as far as the match with Drake and Shira, other than the snafu on Shira's ring awareness at the end for the finisher, I was pretty pleased with his with how he looked tonight.
Yeah, there was a lot of power moves. I mean, he dominated the entire match. A lot of power moves. We were laughing here. My girl pointed out that he did that backdrop on him, and it looked like Patrick Swayze trying to lift up Baby in what's that movie? Dirty Dancing. It was like he like lifts him up by the stomach and then like throws him over. It was the very first backdrop of the match, so it looked kind of funny.
Yeah, trust me. For Eli Drake, that was not the time of his life.
He took a couple backdrops in this match. There were some moves that Shira did on Eli Drake that really looked like they hurt. So I think the match was really random for me. It was a reminder that Eli Drake's a heel, getting his ass kicked the whole match and then getting the quick win. So that's just how I take it as a viewer. I got a question for you guys. If Grado and Shira have beaten the Tribunal twice in the last couple of weeks, why were they not in the tag team title #1 contender match and the Tribunal were?
You know what? I was thinking that. I was like, wait a minute, why is Shira in a singles match? Didn't they get some victories recently?
Exactly. We'll get in a tag match in a little bit, but then we get Lashley backstage with Dixie and Billy Corgan, and long story short, he's saying, I am in charge here. I act, you react. And
Lashley very good tonight with with the talking.
This was the Lashley show, and he did great. He was very believable. He came out to the ring and said he is unifying the titles. So we know what's happening with the King of the Mountain, but we're not a spoiler show, and we're not going to get into that. And we will get into it when the time is appropriate. But man, it's almost like Lashley listens to the internet wrestling community he held up the King of the Mountain title and said, "What the hell is this? This is garbage." And people are always like, "What is that title? What is?" We know it's a mid card title, but it's like sometimes they do the King of the Mountain match, sometimes they don't. You know, it was kind of Jeff Jarrett's thing. You know,
I thought he was going to try to touch and take the Knockouts title for a moment.
that was funny. That he walked back at Sienna and she's like, "Don't get cute."
I love how he said backstage, he was like, "That's cute," and then he followed up with, "I don't need to say catchphrases." He just said one. You
Yeah,
can
he
say
did.
cute all the time, bro.
Sienna told him on Twitter, I'm actually an undefeated MMA fighter, so bring it.
Oh, intergender action coming to Impact.
I just see what you sent me, Kyle, on a text. I saw that earlier. It says Weekend at Birdie's, and it's photoshopped Eva Marie and Paige like a Weekend at Bernie's photo, and they're holding up Alberto Del Rio as Bernie.
I don't know. It just made me laugh. It just up, and I'm just thinking, why is he dead?
Maybe we can get Eva Marie in the Knockouts division. Oh no, we just released they released Velvet Sky. We had our version of her already.
Yeah, no, they're not getting rid of her. She can get that nuclear heat. So, okay, so
Eva Marie versus Raquel.
There we go.
That's a feud.
Raquel actually has promised to be good one day, though. Like Eva Marie doesn't. That's the difference.
Oh, they just kind of look alike to me a little. One's purple, one's red.
Yeah, true. So, he throws the King of the Mountain title to the side, basically to say this is nothing, and then throws the X Division title aside, saying these guys can't beat me. You know, so they basically, you know, like I said before, I thought they were going to come up with creative ways to vacate the title, and they did. I don't know if it was super creative, but they vacated both those titles. So next week they're supposed to crown an X Division champion, from what I understand that Billy Corgan said. And then they also announced that there will be a battle royale. Billy Corgan went old school there, saying that the winner would face Lashley later in the night for the title. So they basically said you will defend that title before Bound for Glory. I like this because we know Bound for Glory is coming. We assume EC3 and Lashley is the main event, but there's still technically question marks. EC3 and Lashley and Galloway have to have their match for the number one contender, and then there's this battle royal. So technically, there's question marks still, which is cool. So then we get the ladder match. My only complaint about this ladder match, before I get your guys' thoughts, tie into what I said earlier. Why is the Tribunal in the match if they haven't been winning, and why isn't Grado and Shira in there? So my only complaint is I wish they would have found a way to get the teams a little hotter. Because I said last week I couldn't imagine a scenario where Brother Nero and Broken Matt did not win that match. I think that was something people expected. But if, you know, last time we saw the Bromans was when they lost to Decay in that Monsters Ball match. Last time we saw Tribunal, they had lost a couple matches to Grado and Shira. And we have never seen the Helps Dynasty actually tag up that I can think of. And last time we saw them, they were losing in an X Division match. So, you know what I'm saying?
That involved the ladder, right?
Yes.
See,
we earlier in the night we got the first taste of the broken Brother Nero character, and I like that Matt's like, "Tell me you're not fantasizing about jumping off these ladders with rungs." He said fantasizing, and again put him in the position. What'd you guys think of Jeff Hardy's broken Brother Nero? It's very I don't know if demonic is a good word for it.
That's a good word.
Yeah, it's a more serious character than Matt Hardy's. This
He
one
doesn't have to talk much, which is good.
Right. I like the look a lot. The eyes, the hair. I like him singing his own theme song. So,
yeah, he's embraced the darkness, and he's creepy looking.
Right. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, did you guys catch earlier in the evening, Matt said, every time there's a ladder in the ring, I'm going to throw it out.
Yeah.
But the ladder entered the ring several times in the opening match, and he didn't do anything about it. I think Jeff even put the first ladder in the ring.
I remember him. I think I remember. I recall him taking one out,
Right.
but that was it. It wasn't like he was just trying to knock stuff down. No, not like I thought he was going to. He really set it up like he was just going to go like ladder up, no more.
Kyle, did you like the ladder match?
Oh, of course. It was a great match. Everything you'd expect it to be. So many insane spots. I can't even think of one specifically to mention. It was just a great match.
Here's what I liked about the spots. Lord knows we compare it with WWE every single podcast we do. It's hard not to. Their ladder matches and their Money in the Bank, it's, they're what people would call a spot fest, where they're setting the ladders up in really silly ways, and someone's eventually going to go through those ladders. And the spots are cool when they happen, but they're not realistic. This one, there were spots with the ladders, but it's because they were using the ladder as a weapon, kind of like the old Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon classic ladder match. They didn't do stupid spots with the ladder. The ladder was just a weapon in the match. And that's how I felt this ladder match came out, that it was a weapon. They weren't sitting here, okay, there was the spot, okay, where they laid it out, and that's how Robbie E was taken out of the match. I don't recall how they laid that ladder out, but it's what I always say, high spots that matter. So if you are going to have a spot like that, make it a deciding factor in the match, not just a spot for a ooh and ah. But do you guys feel like that also, that the ladder was more of a weapon, not up for spots, not for a spot fest?
I like seeing it used more as a weapon. It's interesting how you bring up a match, and I feel so old. But well, we're not old, BQ, but we know Kyle's age, and you're referring to a match that happened 23 years ago, and that ladder match is still referenced in this is the right way to have a match. Mm-hmm. And so that being said, the way it's used, like the way it was used tonight by TNA, I can watch those. I don't need to see a train wreck to where you have 4, 5, 6, 8 guys in the match, and then you have 9 of them laid out because of all these unnecessary high spots that are crazy and make no sense. The way you're seeing someone do stuff, I think it was one of the bromans where they had a move where I forget. I think it was Goddard's. He jumped, did a move, but it made sense. It was to create offense for the opportunity to go get the contract.
Right.
You saw other guys take ladders, and they did stuff that made sense. They weren't balancing ladders in between ropes and trying to set guys up on it like they're going to go scaling a mountain or something. It just made sense. And why have your talent go through all that? So the way I've been seeing this particular company use that style of match, I think the talent appreciates it, but much better, and it's the way it should. You use it as a springboard, as a weapon, as a way to create an opportunity. You don't have to go ahead and do all these crazy things.
Did you guys see when Brother Nero did that big splash on Basil Baraka on the outside? And I think his eyes were closed, so he didn't take the brunt of the impact. He was just flat on his back.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
Oh, that looked painful. Jeff took a couple bumps this match that looked extremely painful. He just when he jumped
at every match though.
When he jumped off the top rope onto the outside, and the tribunal was probably like 3 feet further than it should have been. Even though he took one of them out, he still hit the ground really hard.
Yeah,
good old Jeff.
That. I said, ouch. You know what? In honor of that, in honor of that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and push my office chair back, and I'm just going to go ahead and just dive into the bed off the office chair and do a planche into the bed.
Here's one more thing I liked about the match is that they weren't just climbing. In ladder matches, there's always you can have a guy like Kalisto, for instance. He's flying around the ring, but then once it comes to climbing the ladder, he turns into Kevin Nash. So we weren't getting those like random, where everyone kept climbing the ladder and doing it super slow, and there weren't every time they did climb the ladder for the contract that made sense, and they did it well. It didn't look like they were stalling, which happens a lot in ladder matches. So
yeah. It's kind of like you like. Wait a minute, didn't I just see you do a corkscrew plancha off the top rope? You can do that athletic move. You can't go up the rungs of a ladder.
So yeah, Brother Nero and Broken Jeff win. I mean, Broken Matt. That was probably the right call, and I think that's a very intriguing match. Those two against the Decay.
Yeah, who do you want to cheer for in that match? You have two scary teams, two weirdos, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention this, guys. How about Matt Hardy going around and biting everyone?
He got Andrew Everett a couple times.
I mean, and then he goes to Raquel and he pulls her up and she slaps him and gets free, and he just laughs. But he went around biting. Andrew Everett, yeah, right, that's right. He bit his ankle.
Yes, he bit Trevor Lee's ankle.
So did I get them confused? They look alike to me.
I guess green beans aren't the only delicacy. I guess human flesh is also a delicacy.
This guy's biting everyone.
It was refreshing to see Matt mix it up with these lower card guys or mid card guys that hasn't mixed it up in any way, shape, or form with all year. Especially heel on heel action. So, I mean, to me, to see that kind of thing is refreshing. One thing I cannot stand is when you've got a main event guy and the only wrestlers they get their hands on ever are 2 or 3 other opponents, and you just don't see him mix it up with anybody else.
You catch before the match, the promo before the match with the Hardys, those spots where Matt just looks into the camera and just makes an insane face. Like, he reminds me of Charles Manson in that classic court video. Like, so weird. It's awesome.
I don't know how he keeps a straight face through this stuff because it is so funny.
It is amazing because now you're seeing sides that, and you can't complain and say, "Hey, this is boring." They're but same old characters. No, it's not.
No, we watch wrestling to be entertained, and they're certainly entertaining us.
So this was a good episode. This was a lot of fun. Couple very random matches, which again we don't see very often, but I feel like I can kind of see why they happened. But it was the Lashley show. He did a very stellar job every time he spoke. And if you guys, I don't think either of you have seen spoilers on this, so I know I haven't. Who do you think will win the Battle Royal and face him next week?
You go first, Will.
I was going to say you go first. I'm trying to formulate my thoughts about that.
I'll go ahead and, since you guys can think, since I answered the question, I personally think Bram is going to win. I don't think they're going to do Aaron Rex because we don't want him to have a title match right away. I don't know. That's my pick. Mine is Bram.
That makes the most sense to me with all the stuff that we've seen. Not this week. They didn't play to the angle this week.
Actually, no, you're right. You're right. I don't think Bram will be on the show.
Bram's in the trunk.
Yeah, he's still in the trunk. 2 weeks later, we don't know what happened. They didn't even talk about it.
All right, if he's still in the trunk, I'm going to go with my heart on this one, but Eli Drake.
I
know it has no chance, probably no way happening, but I would love to see that just because I love his character.
This stage in the game, I'm shooting for EC3. I think he's going to be in the match.
No, I doubt it because he's got a match with Galloway next week.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So
he can already get a title shot if he wins.
Yeah, maybe.
I seriously have no idea. This is a scenario that I could see James Storm winning if he was in the match.
I hope it's not Aaron Rex.
If he was reinstated. You know what? I have no problem. I don't know something admitting it publicly. I have no idea.
I don't either.
I
just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we could get something funny where like Grado wins the Battle Royal. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what they're gonna do?
Yeah, we have no clue. So, That is it for the episode, and we're going to get into the interview with DJZ here shortly. So if you are the type of person that would kind of like to hear the interview first instead of our Impact coverage, since it's all one giant file, it is safe to say that the last 45 minutes of each show will be the interview. So you just got to do a little bit of math. Any final thoughts on the show?
Good show. I was entertained. I didn't feel a need to just go have a sudden bathroom break or go walk outside and hit my head, bang my head against the car door. It was good. It was the best wrestling program I've seen this week.
I watched some of Raw this week, about 45 minutes, and my girl was like, "Why are we watching this?" It was just not. It wasn't
45,
good.
45. Raw has been terrible. The entire brand split has been terrible. It just makes me it makes you feel like you just pulled down your pants in front of the bathroom to take a whiz. You just pissed on yourself.
We shut it off and watched the movie. Like I literally couldn't. There was one match in that whole time, and I was like, I can't.
I would have rather watched I would have rather watched Gone with the Wind. Heck, I would have rather Broken Wind than watched it.
Yeah, I haven't actually sat through WWE television, and I'd say I really haven't watched it in 3 to 4 weeks, maybe a month. But my cousin,
I watched both episodes, Kyle. And trust me, you're smarter than I am because I've watched all 5 hours a week.
Well, my cousin Sean bought tickets to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and SummerSlam, so I'm gonna go to both those shows this weekend. But I'll be honest, I really have no idea what's going on either of them. Maybe off the air, you guys could fill me in on that. But I've just been sucked into TNA. I've been watching the Ring of Honor shows again, little lucha, but I've just been enjoying every week. TNA gives me everything I want out of a wrestling show. You're
right, dude. I watched Ring of Honor this morning, their last episode, and I was getting so frustrated. The matches were great, but the near falls, the number of near falls are ridiculous. Yeah, it was. That's what was going on there. I didn't catch this week's episode yet. But, dude, so Leo Rush had a match with Donovan Dijak, and he had a reverse Hurricanrana, Frankenstein or whatever, followed by a running Enziguri or Shining Wizard, and then his frog splash off the top rope. It was a sequence of 3 crazy moves, and this motherfucker kicks out. I'm like, dude, this doesn't even feel real. Ring of Honor feels real in the way to deliver it, but the spots... There was sometimes it's very video game like, sometimes there's just too much going on. Yeah, it was actually really angering me.
Wait a minute, what promotion was this?
Ring of Honor.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go subscribe to New Japan and just watch that stuff.
There you go. All right, so that is it for us this week, guys. Thanks for checking us out as always. And please spread the word, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter, KTOM_podcast. And I was a guest on a podcast, the Jim Boy Star podcast recently, and we reviewed Impact in 2016 so far. So I will get that information out to you guys when it is available. I thought it was a really cool podcast, and it was kind of cool to be interviewed for once, being on that side of things. So came out good. So but for Kyle and Will, this is BQ. Thanks for checking us out as always. Now check our interview with DJZ, and then stand by at the end for the next week's guest. All right, y'all. Peace. All right, what is up, everybody? Back in the place to be. I got Robbie E on the line along with DJZ. What is up, guys?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. And Robbie, what are you doing right now?
I am staring at myself in the mirror.
He was.
And I am thinking of Skilo because this guy is the guy I told you about, Z, and he is friends and has done rap songs with Skilo. You know that song?
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller that Skilo. Oh, man, we should have got him on the podcast.
See, everybody knows him, and I wish I would have emailed him. The thing is, I really haven't talked to him in a year and a half, so Robbie told me last time that I had to hit him up, and I kind of failed to do so already, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to hit him up.
Come on, man. Don't sleep on this. We need Skilo on this podcast.
You never wrote the email to him?
I have not yet. I wasn't really sure how to address it. Have you ever hit someone that you haven't talked to, in a year, and you don't really know how to approach them?
Yeah, usually just say, hey, we haven't talked in a year, but could you send me more free stuff, or could you book me
the show. You know, I keep it short, and I'm like very rude about it because I only care about myself. So yeah, I do all the time.
All right, I'm gonna
Keep
try
the 100 to 1 million.
or I'm gonna try to keep that method in mind. So you guys,
So my first week, we're gonna guest here. I told you I would hook you guys up with the best people, and who do I got? Robbie E comes through. Robbie E's making this podcast great, and I got DJ Z in the house. Come on, you got to be excited, bro.
dude, I am, and like DJ Z, you're a household name at my house because my 7-year-old, you're his favorite wrestler. My fiance likes you.
Oh, yeah.
My brother, who I just got into Impact, is a DJ Z fan. I asked him the other day after his first, month watching the show. So who you into? And he said DJ Z.
Dude, thank you. That means a lot to me.
Is he into him wrestling or like into him like wants to go on a date with him?
No, he does not want to go on a date with him. My brother's married. He just enjoys watching DJ Z on TV.
All right, cool.
You hear that, Robbie?
Got it.
Yeah, he likes that X Division action.
And we actually got to meet you after Slammiversary, so that was one of my son's highlights because he got to do the Z with you. You did half.
Oh yeah, cool. Tell him I said what up.
I definitely will. I wish he was up right now. I let him talk to Robbie last week, but I can't get him out of bed.
Let's get him on the podcast with Skilo next week.
There we go. That's how we'll do it.
The kid loses a little sleep, but he gets to talk to his hero. I think it's worth it. Let's go wake him.
Yeah, let's wake him up.
Okay, maybe when we're all done here.
Nah, we should do it live on the podcast. That'd be interesting. First in podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll do it live.
But either way, I know you've had a week to think about this. I told you that I was bringing Z on a week ago. You had to have come up with some good stuff for him, bro. I mean, he's got a pretty crazy background, traveling all over the world, winning titles everywhere, doing lucha everywhere. So we're hoping that you came up with some good, dope questions for him.
Oh man, put me on the spot right now.
No, I think I did. And actually, the first thing I was going to ask you, you got the. So I saw this video get uploaded to YouTube a couple of days ago by Justin LaBar because I guess you're the IWC champion. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, it's in Pittsburgh. So you got an upcoming match with, I forgot who it was with.
Dylan Bostic.
Dylan Bostic, yeah.
Bieber, the professional wrestling, and he buys his followers on Twitter.
Does he? That's going to get him some heat. I guess they challenged you to a loser leaves IWC match, too. That's what the video was that I saw. Did you accept that?
Yeah. Yeah, I accepted it. So we'll see what happens this Saturday. I don't think I'm going to lose, though. There's no way I'm going to lose. I've been that champion for months now. I've wrestled death matches with that title, so a steel cage ain't nothing I'm intimidated by. But Dylan Bostic, he thinks he's like Justin Bieber. He's worried about his looks. He's got, all kinds of big opportunities coming up in the music world and modeling world, I'm sure. So he's not trying to ruin his face at all. And he's afraid of the cage. That's what it is. He fears the cage. He fears being locked in the cage with that DJ. And I will ruin his face and send him packing once and for all.
I actually didn't know it was a cage match.
Man, that was a solid promo I just cut, though.
That was a really good promo, actually.
Thanks.
I didn't know that was a cage match. It was a very random video because I'm subscribed to Justin LaBar on YouTube, so it was a really random notification to get where I saw him talking about DJ Z. I was like, oh, damn, that's perfect.
What's funny is he uploaded that video and tagged me in it. I didn't even watch it. I just accepted the challenge. I didn't even know what he was challenging me for, but I just accepted it. So I still haven't even seen the video.
Z has an obsession with accepting challenges when he doesn't know what they are. Like, believe me, Dylan Bostic's challenge is the only challenge he accepted. Or Justin, whatever his name is. Like, I'll challenge him to random things. Like, we'll pass mini golf, and I'll be like, I'm really good at mini golf. And he'll be like, I challenge you to a game of mini golf.
Yeah, and then he'll quit after, like, 4 holes. We had a full 18 was supposed to do.
He quit. Or, like, if we're drinking, he'll just, like, randomly be like, I challenge you to a beer chugging contest. And he doesn't even drink beer, and then he'll just say that he can chug beer quicker than anyone. Like, the most random things. Like, if he, like, when you tell him more about your rap career, he'll probably challenge you to a rap contest. Or like a I know Skilo better than you contest. Like, that's how contest is contest get.
I'm really competitive. What can I say?
That sounds competitive. You guys got a match tomorrow, don't you, with FEW? Aren't you on the same team?
That's not tomorrow. That's the next day. Friday.
Okay, I'm thinking today's Thursday for some reason. Tomorrow's Thursday because tomorrow's Impact. That's right.
I didn't even know what day was today until like halfway through.
That's because you guys did
The days blurs together, and they blur together when we're down here taping TV.
I can imagine. You guys did, like, what, 7 days?
Yeah, like, I remember when I found out it was Saturday, I didn't even know it was Saturday that day till like 9 p.m. It's crazy.
God, that's the largest stretch of tapings you've had this year, that I think. I mean, I remember the one in February, the first one in Orlando this year was like 5, I think. And then it sounded like they've been 4 ever since, haven't they?
Yeah. Next time we're here in October, it's also going to be another long stretch like this. So, yeah, it's exhausting, but we do knock out a lot of content.
Oh yeah, I've been a few times, so I really, really enjoy it. This FEW match. So let me get this right. It's the two of you, Jesse Goddard, Pope. Is Pope wrestling?
I don't have any idea what's going on with this show. Like,
all right.
I believe Robbie and Jesse are doing some sort of match with the Pope. I don't know what I'm doing at all.
Zima's kind of just like, hey, Zima, you have this show Friday. And he goes like, oh, yeah. And then, like, you know, we kind of just get him out of bed and pack his stuff. And he just kind of goes in the car and slouches down in the back seat and makes, like, a little, like, puppy dog face in the back so he doesn't have to drive. And then just, like, plays on his phone and, like, randomly will just, like, say stuff like, good one, Robbie. Or, like, yeah, that's right, Jesse. And, like, we just drive, and it's pretty much it. He's like, you know, he's kind of, it's like your funny friend in high school, or like, you know, the one that you look out for.
Yeah. well, let me tell you the way
that's a pretty good description of me, actually. Pretty accurate, kind of, but yeah.
My Botox looks good.
Where, on your forehead? Yeah. Because I think I have a couple of wrinkles on my forehead now at my old age, but,
well, let's ask him. Do you get Botox?
Do I get Botox? No. I could probably use it. I'm a wrinkly guy. I've always been wrinkly, even like as a kid, for whatever reason.
Maybe you're like Benjamin Button.
Very possible. No, but I was going to say the way that this FEW poster reads, it looks like it's a 5-on-5 match. That's the way it comes across if you're looking at it. But it says fighting.
It might be.
Yeah, Fighting Evolution Wrestling versus Impact Wrestling, and there's okay. It looks
Wait, aren't there girls on that poster too? Like,
yeah, so
we have girls on. We have Rebel.
Yeah, it's 4 dudes and 2 girls, and it has DJZ, Pope, Bromance, Jade, and Rebel.
Maybe that's the match. Perhaps it's War Games.
That's what it looks like.
Fans are just gonna have to show up and see what happens.
Yeah, just show up to Lewistown, Florida, whatever city we're in, suburb of Fort Lauderdale, I think.
Is that where it is? I was wondering. I looked at it at Florida, and I didn't understand where that was. I'm in Florida, but I mean, I'm in the north, so I don't really know that area.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, I think.
So I was going to ask, a month or 2 ago, you were doing a backstage segment on TV, and myself and one of my co-hosts here were listening to you speak, and we're like, my God, DJZ is a well-spoken guy. It's like when you're on camera, you don't struggle to come for your words, look for your words, and it's really, really believable. So I'm wondering, how do you manage to come across so natural when you have an audience? Do you have a history of public speaking or anything like that, or is it just you can just talk? You can cut a promo?
I mean, I don't really have a history of public speaking necessarily, but I just feel comfortable with the microphone in my hand. Early on in my career, I knew that putting in the effort to get better at the talking aspect of wrestling would set me apart, because so many high flyer, undersized guys, they're terrified to talk on the microphone. But I couldn't out high fly a lot of those dudes, so I was like, I want to be a more complete package. So since day one in my career, I made the effort to like cut promos and do interviews whenever I had the chance.
It was just really obvious. There was it was a segment backstage. I want to say it was with Mike Bennett. I really don't recall offhand. And then there was the one in the ring with Lashley, and I don't know. It caught me off guard because you hadn't spoken a whole lot on TV all that much this year.
Yeah, it's been a while. I used to speak a lot on TV when I was doing the intro for the Bromans. That was some good training wheels for me.
Training wheels, though.
Yeah, but it's been about a year since I had some solid microphone time.
Yeah, it definitely has. What was the experience like with when you were working with them? I'm curious Robbie's take on that too, because now obviously the Bromans is a completely different incarnation, as are you. So would you ever see them? Would you ever see yourself working with them again, or have you kind of evolved past that? You know.
Oh, I've evolved past that, but maybe someday in the future, if I'm feeling a little nostalgic, we might, do something again. Who knows?
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, Z's doing his own thing, we're doing our own thing, but we're still boys. we still travel together, and at any time, we might need a sixth man to get something going, and Raquel sure as hell ain't going to get the job done, so we might have to bring in that DJ. You never know when you're going to need a good introduction. Yeah. Plus, I mean, I'm going to bring DJ in for, my twins are going to be born soon, so for their, birthday parties and their whatever, who do you think is going to be the DJ at all their parties?
There you go.
That DJ Z. And actually, I just thought about it. We're kind of having a bromance reunion at this show in Florida on Friday. We're in this 10-man tag. That means we're on the same team.
You just made this 10-man tag up yourself.
Yeah. So he made it up.
I'm just telling you that's how the poster reads. That's how it looks. It could be.
Are you coming to the show?
No, that's too far for me.
Oh.
Even if I come down to Orlando for Impact, it's like a 6-7 hour drive. So anything further than that is kind of not doable for me.
Damn. Well, we appreciate you making that trip when you do.
Oh, absolutely. I plan on doing it for Bound for Glory too. If bringing the family with me. If nothing gets in my way. So, I mentioned the segment with Lashley a little earlier, and you had the match with him for the X Division Championship earlier. You challenged him to a ladder match. I want to know a little bit about what that match was like, because obviously he's not your prototypical opponent that you normally face on an Impact. I mean, maybe on the Indies you face some bigger guys, probably not Lashley size, but just curious what the match was like, and how much some of that stuff hurt, like that press slam off the ladder.
I mean, it was definitely intimidating to get in there with somebody like Bobby Lashley, but I looked at it more as like a chance to prove to everybody that I can hang with the big guys like Bobby Lashley. So, I had put some pressure on myself for that match for sure. And yeah, it hurt. A lot of it hurt. I think at one point he gave me a spine buster. I really felt like he was trying to put my body like through the ring. That's how hard I landed on that spine buster. And yeah, I got gorilla pressed off the top of the ladder. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, the whole match hurt. I mean, a ladder match against Bobby Lashley. What do you expect?
No, I can imagine. There was something else where he was carrying you on the ladder or something. I don't remember exactly. You were on it.
Yeah.
Hey, who do you think would last longer in an octagon with Bobby Lashley? You, Z, or Skilo?
I'm guessing DJ Z would last longer in the octagon.
I don't know. Skilo might have those like street fighting techniques. Who knows?
He's got street cred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the street cred. That's what's going to get him the victory. But I mentioned a bromance a second ago. How do you feel like your just in ring work, everything is just? How do you think it's evolved since? Because you're a complete different on-air personality now, which I really like your new look too. So I'm curious the thoughts behind that. But just curious how you feel like you've evolved since your time working so closely with them.
I would say in the last year, it's just been putting the focus more on wrestling. I've been very open saying that in the past, there were times when I was doing just enough to get by. I wasn't like pushing myself as hard as I could have in the gym, in the ring. And I just had to be honest with myself at some point and say, listen, I need to push myself a little harder. And instead of doing just enough to get by, let's just see what happens if we actually apply ourselves and put in the extra work. Let's just see if that changes anything. And I started going to Lucha Libre class. I started dieting, started hitting the gym a lot harder. And, would you believe it, there's been some good results from it.
What is a Lucha Libre class like?
It's practice. It's wrestling practice. I mean, I trained in Lucha Libre when I was like in my early 20s. And wrestling's a weird place. Like pro wrestling, only in pro wrestling will you train for something, then once you're finished with your training at wrestling school, then you don't practice anymore. Then you just do shows. Any other athlete, they still go to practice every day or practice whenever they do. And wrestling's the only sport where it's like once you become a wrestler, you stop going to practice. So I kind of just wanted to take it back and just have that extra ring time and practice new moves. And I didn't have that opportunity in the past, but since moving to Chicago, there's a Lucha Libre culture there. And yeah, I just started training twice a week with Skyday and Discovery, a couple old school luchadors. And yeah, they really helped me step my game up.
And Shira's game.
And Shira, who did make an appearance at the school.
Yeah, that's actually why I asked the question, because I had never heard of a Lucha Libre school until Shira started talking about it.
Well, clearly you don't follow me on Instagram because I post clips from my Lucha Libre school all the time.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
why don't you follow?
because I'm not I only have Twitter as my only social media.
Why don't you follow DJ Z on Twitter though?
I do follow DJZ on Twitter. I just haven't seen anything about that.
Oh,
Of course I follow him. Like I said, he's a household name here. So you mentioned being from Chicago, and it actually reminded me of something. I was listening to an interview with Rockstar Spud on, who was he with? I don't remember who it was, but I was listening to an interview with Rockstar Spud, and he said that you don't have a driver's license, or?
Well, I don't have a car.
Oh, it's a car.
Like
Okay.
you don't need a car in Chicago. Like I live downtown, so we have subways, we have buses, we have Uber. There's just no need for a car, and I'd never have a place to park it if I did have one. So when I moved to Chicago, I got rid of my car, so I didn't have to pay car insurance anymore and gas. Like I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, I forgot who he was talking to, but he brought that up, and he was telling a story actually about a show that you were like unprepared to travel to or something like that, and someone was like, oh, I think you asked Spud for a ride or something. It was something like that. That's kind of how the story was, but
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Colt Cabana.
yeah, it was Colt Cabana.
And I hit him up asking for a ride to the show, and he just busted my balls. But that's what he always does.
Okay, so it was Colt. Yeah, and he was like, how the hell did you plan on getting there? And you were just like, I don't know.
I would have figured out a way. Like, come on now. I can rent cars over here. Like, if worse comes to worse.
Exactly. And as you said, there's always Uber. There's always a way to get from point A to point B. So, like Robbie, you've been with the company for quite a while. I think 5 or 6 years now. So, yeah, I don't know how your comfort level of answering the question, but there was a rumor floating around you were gonna be done with Impact, and then you re-signed with them. So, what led to your decision to remaining with the company, and if it was
that was like I saw that floating around as like a headline. That was just taken out of context. I was just saying in general. It's like, yeah, I might resign with TNA or I might not. I don't know what other opportunities are out there. But everybody like just jumped on it and said like DJZ says he's not resigning. So it was just one of those things that was taken out of context. Obviously, I'm happy at Impact Wrestling. Otherwise, I wouldn't have resigned.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of headlines, a lot of chatter, and anywhere that I used to hang out with TNA fans on forums or Twitter, whatever it was, there was always, DJZ is going to be done with the company. So it's funny to hear you say that. When you talk about headlines, there was one that Evolve put out that EC3 is done with Evolve and there's no plans for him to ever be. No, Evolve didn't put him out, but the dirt sheets did. EC3 will never be back with Evolve. And I was in a conversation talking about that online, and EC3 DM'd me, and he was like, why are you telling people I'm not going to be involved anymore? I said, that's what these, I sent him the websites, and he was pissed. Just the dirt sheet rumors that really get out there.
Clickbait. It's all clickbait.
Oh, it really is. I saw some clickbait I sent it to Robbie the other day in a text, but it was a interview with Robbie, and the headline was absolute clickbait. It was. I mean, it wasn't a lie. It was just kind of taking out of context what he said in the interview.
Yeah, typical internet.
But yeah, you are happy though, and that was see, when you're in sports and a contract runs out, it's everyone does their due diligence of seeing what other options are out there. So I don't know. I guess in pro wrestling, when someone makes that comment, all of a sudden people read into it.
Of course, for the clickbait, they just want to make a headline that people are going to be curious and click on. And just take what I say and rearrange it and create a dramatic story around it.
All right, DJZ, I'm going to throw a curveball your way here real quick. Inquiring minds want to know, what was your reaction when you heard the news that you could get $100 in bonus cash just by signing up to drive with Uber? Now, I know you don't have a vehicle and you take Uber from city to city. About a year ago, I got in a vehicle accident. I had to take Uber to work to maintain my employment. Loved the experience so much that I signed up to drive with Uber. Now I'm my own boss. I work my own hours, supplement my income, and you really can't beat it. This is what I'm doing for my listeners. If you click the show notes, sign up to drive with Uber, you can get $100 in bonus cash. Now, if you just go to uber.com and sign up, you're not going to get the bonus cash. But if you click my link, sign up, get a little extra change in your pocket. I promise you guys, you're going to love driving with Uber. If you're concerned with it being a dangerous thing, you've heard some rumors, watch the introductory video, and I think you're going to see how safe it is to drive and ride with Uber. So click the show notes, get the bonus cash, drive with Uber.
considering all the exciting matches you have had in your career, what's your favorite type of match to compete in? You know, Destination X, ladder match. Is there a certain one that you really enjoy, and is there a certain opponent that when you know they're included in the match, you just know it's going to be a good match?
I like when Robbie and Grado are included in my matches because I know it's going to be like pretty easy.
Like an easy win.
This is going to be a good time. I just know it's going to be fun.
I think they were doing titty twisters on each other on the one night only pay-per-view.
See what I'm saying? Like, that's fun. I'll take that over jumping off a 15-foot ladder any day.
So when it comes to matches like a ladder Destination X match, is that something that you enjoy doing, or it's like?
I mean, obviously, it's like a different type of creativity. It's a challenge for you, but it's hard on the body, and it's never not intimidating. But yeah, sometimes it's definitely worth it when we have a great match. Like, it's been a lot of fun with me wrestling against Eddie Edwards, Trevor Lee, and Andrew Everett this year. Like, I just think we've had amazing chemistry together, and it definitely showed if you go back and watch the ladder matches or the Ultimate X matches.
Yes, absolutely. I really like that Ultimate X match, Bound for Glory. Were you in that one in Bound for Glory 2015? At this point,
Maybe.
It's so long ago. I forget who was the competitors in that one, but that one was a lot of fun. The one that you won was a lot of fun too. That was one of my favorite episodes of Impact of the Year, and that was a killer way to start it off. So now you do have a background as a DJ, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making sure it's not a on-screen personality. But so what inspired that venture? I mean, is there? You could just say, hey, it's just something I thought would be cool. But I mean, is there something that that just inspired you to do it? Maybe someone you listen to, or what got you into that?
Nah, I just I felt one-dimensional a bit as a person at that time in my life. Wrestling was my only true passion and interest, and I felt one-dimensional because of it. Like, I had nothing else going for me, just wrestling. So I had to do some soul searching, and I thought, what else am I passionate about? Music. That's the only other thing I could think of. And I wanted to do something in music, and DJing is blowing up at the time. Still a really big thing right now in pop culture, but it just seemed like the perfect move. Had some friends that were DJing, and hit them up. They gave me some advice, some feedback, some info, and I started my DJ career.
Did you ever have like a really crazy gig or anything, or was it just something you did really, really casually?
Well, I'll tell you one crazy gig that he could have if you get him booked with Skilo.
Oh, my
and he
God.
could DJ with him. I mean, think about those two together. DJ Z and Skilo, though.
Man, that'd be a dream come true.
The possibilities. But is there a place that you had? I mean, was it something you just did casually? I don't know at what age you were doing it. I actually tried to do the research on it, and that's why I was confirming that you actually did have a background in it, because I didn't really have any confirmation. But
yeah, I played. I played some raves. I've done the two biggest parties in Chicago, Porn and Chicken and the Trap House. Played both of those, I think 2 times each now. Headlined at the Trap House, so at least I can say I headlined at one of Chicago's biggest raves. Like, cool feeling for sure. I got to open up for a couple globally known DJs. I don't remember exactly when, but yeah, there was a couple times where I got to open up for some big name DJs, and that was really cool. I think that was at Trap House, but yeah, so I've had some cool opportunities. I DJ'd on Shade in the Morning, Sway in the Morning, Shade 45 actually, and Young Jeezy was there. So it's like, dude, I did some cool stuff, but again, it got to a point where I was focusing so much on music that wrestling had almost taken a back seat, and wrestling should be the number one priority. So, like I said, try to make my focus back on wrestling again. So I just kind of put DJing, real gigs, real raves. I put that on the back burner for now.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And Billy Corgan just uploaded a Facebook Live video yesterday, I believe it was, and he kind of spoke on the importance of having multiple passions and not to be, telling his music fans, it's good for me. No, he talked about having multiple passions and telling the music fans, it's a good thing for me to be passionate about wrestling, and for the wrestling fans, it's good for me to be passionate about music. So just going back to what you said, sometimes you should have multiple passions.
Yeah.
So whether, we talked about locations where you DJ'd, but whether it was Impact Wrestling or your independent work, because you do a pretty strong independent schedule as well. I asked Robbie a similar question, but what's your favorite place you've ever performed, whether it's country, city, venue, whatever it is?
I don't know. I've enjoyed most of the places I've been. Singapore, wrestling there was pretty special to me. The crowd was absolutely electric, and my mom used to live there, so it had a little bit of like history for me. And nobody ever goes to Singapore to wrestle, so that was like really cool. Mexico, like, it's a place that I got a love-hate relationship with Mexico. It's definitely one of my favorite places to wrestle and just to be at. I love Mexico City. That's like a home away from home for me. But every time I'm there, it's just nonstop drama and all kinds of problems for me. So it's like a love-hate relationship.
What was the creative thought process behind your new look? I really dig it. A lot of people seem to really dig it. So was there a certain inspiration for that creativity?
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Oh,
yep. Robbie was distracted. Your co-host, who's barely been on the show, is distracting me.
I was referring to your look, your new in-ring look when you come down to the ring and the whole entrance. If there was inspiration behind that, or if it was just something you kind of creatively just threw together and see how it looked.
The inspiration was definitely just DJs like Deadmau5 and Daft Punk, guys that had like that kind of look, and I thought it might be cool to bring something like that to wrestling. So, yeah, that's where the inspiration's from.
No, I actually really, really dig it. So I do want to ask if you guys, this is kind of for you and Robbie, if you have any crazy stories together, because Robbie had mentioned last week that you guys were pretty close. Any crazy stories on the road or stories in general about partying? Who parties the hardest? How do you guys hang out? What's it like, the two of you?
It's pretty crazy. Most of the stories we can't speak about on a public forum. I personally, I want to say that I go harder than Robbie, at least present day. Maybe at one point in his life, Robbie went harder than me, but these days I think I still go the hardest by far.
Do you agree with that, Robbie?
I do. That was a pretty perfect answer.
Damn, I thought you were going to step in and be like, throw a rebuttal at him.
No, I mean, my days are slowing down, so you know how it is.
Yeah, you are becoming a family man now and all that. So we talked about some of the X Division matches that you have been involved with. So what do you think is the next step in the evolution of the X Divisions? Do we need to see different styles? Would you like to have new opponents or just more opportunity in general? Maybe just more TV time. But you know, what's your idea? What's the next step in the evolution of the division?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see more TV time. I'd like to see more stories in the X Division. That's something that for the longest time we didn't have. We were just sent out there to do matches, and that's fine. But, you know, we're not one-dimensional, going back to that. Like, just because I can do some flips and have some crazy matches, that's not all there is to me. You know, I can talk on the microphone. I can play different characters and stuff. And I just think I'd like to see just more layers to the X Division. And I hope that's what we're going to get.
Do you feel that TNA officials do listen to the fans when it comes to the X Division? Because there has been, I mean, for a long time now, and especially this year, a lot of people are publicly like, we want more X Division. We want exactly the things you're saying. We want to see stories. We want to see this and this. Do you know, the best way that you can answer? Do you think that they are listening for those who are hoping that they are?
I think so. I think you're definitely going to see some things in the future that will show that they are definitely listening.
We hope so. We hope to have a title reign from you here soon, because you've had one title reign, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, 2012.
Yeah, so you're definitely due for it. You're definitely due to hold the title, and I guess we're going to see what happens on Impact tomorrow night, as you know, at time of us speaking here, what the state of the X Division is regarding Lashley holding that title. So, what were your thoughts of Lashley winning that title to begin with? Is that something that the X Division guys felt, hey, we need to fight for our division, and because you guys kind of rallied around each other when Bennett was holding it? Yeah,
I think we're gonna have to rally, because Bobby Lashley, it's gonna be really hard for any of us in the X Division to beat that guy. So really, rallying is all we got. That's our only shot.
Well, it kind of worked out for you when you you had the match. I think it was the match with Bennett. It was you and Bennett, I believe, that had a match together, and everyone chased him down back to the ring.
Yep, that was with Bennett.
Yeah. How did you feel he was as an X Division champion?
Bennett?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really have the title that long, so it wasn't a very good one, I guess.
No, he definitely wasn't. So this question is for the both of you, and Dixie Carter recently stepped down to chairman and promoted Billy Corgan to president. So how do you guys feel about the news? How has he been to work with, whether with the entire locker room at once or one-on-one, and has he shared his vision for the company with you? Is this an exciting move for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Change is always good. Change is always a good thing. In 2016, you got to keep things changing. And Billy's a great guy. He loves wrestling. He's smart. He's been successful in the music industry, obviously, and he's going to bring his knowledge to pro wrestling. So we're hoping for the best. We think it's going to be great. He's easy to talk to. He's approachable, and I think he's really going to take time to focus on, everyone as an individual and not just certain things. And I think all around for the company, nothing's going to happen overnight. That's impossible. But there's going to be great positive changes made as time goes on.
Yeah, there's nothing I can add to that. He pretty much summed it up.
No, that was a really, really, really good answer. No, I think as fans, we're really excited about it. I know I'm really excited about it, and I think he comes across as a very good wrestling mind. Anytime I hear him speak, he sounds like he really knows the industry. Did you?
Yeah.
DJZ, did you mess with him at all, or did you work with him at all in? I forgot the company he had in Chicago. Was it Revolution Pro or?
Pro. No, I was not living in Chicago at the time he was running that. I was still in Washington, D.C. I only moved to Chicago 2 years ago.
Were you born in the Philippines or you were born in the United States?
No, I was born in the United States. My mom's from the Philippines.
Okay, I knew that much. I wasn't sure. So where were you born in the U.S.?
I was born in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think I've seen EC3 post some pictures like with you and few of the other indie guys talking about Ohio. That's right. All right, DJZ. So we're going to try something new here. This is brand new, and I'm going to try to do it every single week, and it's how well do you know Robbie E?
Oh, man.
I think it's safe to say you guys are pretty good friends. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I'm going to make them multiple choice just for just to make it so it's not too difficult.
This reminds me like games you play would say, how well do you know your husband or wife?
Right. Hopefully you do better. If I was faced with a game like that, I'd probably fail. So, all right. So first one, what is Robbie E's favorite place to eat? Is it Cece's Pizza, Olive Garden, or Chili's?
Oh, definitely Cece's Pizza.
Got that one right. Tell me about Cece's Pizza. That was a very random response when I asked you where you like to eat.
Cece's Pizza, I had never eaten there until a couple of days ago, and I was very hungover, so I couldn't even appreciate it or enjoy it. I don't know.
When I texted Robbie, I said, what's your favorite restaurant? Cece's Pizza. I thought it was a joke at first.
No. I mean, I'm sure it's actually really good.
That pizza, though.
But I just wasn't feeling it that morning.
All right, so number 2, who was Robbie E's first opponent on TNA television? Is it Manic, Amazing Red, or Jay Lethal?
It's either Red or Lethal. I'm trying to think which one it is. It's got to be Amazing Red.
Yes, it is Amazing Red. 2 for 2. All right. How many times has Robbie E held the X Division title? Once, twice, or never have, never will?
Twice.
It's once, is it?
I don't know. Well,
You don't even know me.
I was getting confused with the tag titles.
Oh my God! I thought you were my friend.
I'm so embarrassed right now. I was like really focused on this game too. That's the funny part.
All right, so 2 more. Let's see how well you can get into the mind of Robbie. Robbie E thinks Rosemary is creepy, hot, or misunderstood.
He probably thinks she's hot.
That is the correct answer. You are 3 for 4.
Yeah.
All right. This one actually kind of surprised me. In 2002, Robbie was one of several indie wrestlers to be featured in a WWE pay-per-view commercial. Was it Extreme Rules, SummerSlam, or Royal Rumble?
God, I don't know. SummerSlam?
No, Royal Rumble. So what's that, DJ? 3 for 5?
No, I think I'm like 4 for 5.
It was 3 for 5, 60%. So you got a D.
Yeah.
I have not seen that commercial. That was a random fact I found out about you on Wikipedia.
I think that's what we're going to do tonight after this podcast is over. Me, Eddie, and Robbie are trying to think of something to do tonight, have some fun. Maybe we'll just like create trivia questions and like see how well we know each other.
There we go.
Definitely won't do that.
Yes, we will. It's going to be awesome.
Over some popcorn and things like that. All right, so I got one other question here in respect to final deletion.
All right. Okay.
So delete one, massacre, leave one. Robbie E, Jesse Goddard, Mark Andrews.
So delete one, obsolete one.
No, delete, massacre, and leave.
Leave
one alone.
Leave one alone, as in they're going to be safe.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to let Robbie be safe. Have to do that.
Man.
Yeah, you know what, Robbie, I never got to say thanks. So I'm going to leave Robbie alone. He's got twins on the way. We need him here. Twins and endless entertainment. Jesse and Mandrews here. Oh man, this is tough.
Kill Jesse.
I don't know if I can kill Jesse.
Massacring and killing him.
Yeah, that's so hard.
Massacre and deleting the same thing.
This is so hard.
Deleting's pretty much
Not
like
gonna
killing. Massacre is just maybe whooping his ass.
Well, Jesse's never really wronged me in any way, so I don't know if I mean, neither is Mandrews. Like, yeah, we'll just delete Mandrews and massacre Jesse. Why not?
There we go.
Jay-Z says he wishes he could massacre Jesse. Yeah.
Thank you to DJ Z for coming on the show. You can follow him on Instagram at DatDJTho, DatDJTHO, and you can follow him on Twitter at Zema TNA, Zema TNA. Thank you once again for tuning into the show, and join us next week as our interview will be with referee Kevin Keenan, former WWE referee. He will be here joining us and Robbie E, better known as the referee from the Final Deletion. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Final Deletion, some of his experience in the industry, and should be good times. So we will catch you guys next time.